Yo, what is going on? Day 28 right here. And what I want to share in this video today is the other night I watched Wedding Crashers for the first time in a while. And great movie. But in the movie, what I was noticing is that all the characters, they're all funny, they're all hilarious, but the scenes that tended to be the most funny and the most, like, you could tell, like, the writers of the movie, like, were writing the certain scenes, like, okay, like, here comes the big joke right here, here's where we're gonna make everyone laugh. And I was laughing my ass off the whole movie. But there were certain scenes in there that were a lot more like intentional with the jokes. And I was noticing as I was watching this, that there was one scene in particular at the beginning of the movie where not Owen Wilson, but I can't remember the other big tall actor guy in Wedding Crashers. He's in his office at work, and his secretary comes in, and they're talking about whatever they're talking about, and the secretary is telling him that, like, hey, like, I want to hook you up on a blind date. I want to hook you up on a blind date. And the guy, the actor, the character, just looks at her and just is so brutally honest about how he really thinks and how he really feels about this whole idea of getting set up on a blind date. And he just goes in and says, like, no, I don't want to go on a blind date, because we're just going to go out to some restaurant and we're gonna sit down and have some mediocre conversation over some overpriced food, and we're going to talk about all these things. We're going to be constantly judging each other, trying to see if this is going to work out for me, if it's going to work out for you. We're going to be constantly trying to figure things out. And then we're going to go back home, and it's like going to be pretty mediocre there as well. And just like, it's going to be this whole terrible thing. And so, no, I don't want to have this blind date. And the way that he said it, like, I butchered all of that, but the way that he said it was just so truthful. It was it was exactly how he actually felt about this idea of the blind date. And it was hilarious because of that, because it's all these things that a lot of people think and feel about certain situations and certain things that you're not necessarily supposed to do socially. Like, socially, you're not supposed to say, like, be that brutally honest about how you really feel about things to another person like that. But it got me thinking. It's just like, why are we constantly putting on those masks of just censorship, like censoring ourselves to other people, pretty much for the sake of pleasing the other people and making sure that we're socially in line. And so as the movie progressed, as the movie went on, you see through all the different people that they meet and all the different families that they meet, that all the characters are just putting on this big mask of who they want to portray themselves out to be in the movie. And as the movie goes on, towards the end of the movie, when everyone's getting together and everyone's about to go live happily ever after, that's when all the masks get thrown down. That's when Owen Wilson just says, like, you know what, forget it. Like, I'm just gonna go tell her exactly how I feel, regardless of how the boyfriend thinks, and regardless how the family thinks and everything. Like, and just laid himself out there and, like, here's how I really feel. And it was really interesting as I was watching that movie, from the very first beginning scene, where it's just like the brutally honest, which was the most funny thing, the thing that people resonate most with, because it's the things that we all think about that we can't verbalize because it's socially taboo to say those sort of things. And then as the movie progresses, it was just interesting to see how all the masks started going up with all the families and whatnot, and how at the end, when it was coming to true love, when everyone was getting together, the Owen Wilson and the other guy were getting married and living happily ever after, that's when they dropped all those masks that they were wearing the whole time, of this image that they were trying to portray to other people, trying to portray to the world. And so I just found that really interesting, because we're always putting all these masks on to other people, as a friends circle, whether it's our family, our coworkers, whatever it is. We're trying to put on this image, trying to portray this identity, this representation of who we want ourselves to be perceived as to the other people, versus actually just being who we want to be, regardless of the opinions and thoughts of everyone else involved. So it's like going into that. It's going into that. That's where you find the real depth of character, the real depth of what you're about and who you are. Because when you just be yourself in the ways in which, like, you know what, even if like everyone hates me, no one likes this joke, or no one likes what I'm about to say, and you just do it. You do whatever that thing is. That's where the real power comes from, because you don't need the validation, the approval from everyone else around you in order to have the self-validation, the self-approval of like, no, like, you know, I need to say it. It's a form of self-love. It's a form of self-love to really just, boom, like get out and say the things that need to be said. So that's an interesting lesson that I got from the movie Wedding Crashers. But that's the video for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Catch you on the next one.